Yesterday, how sometimes wicked people prosper and the righteous suffer, and why is that? I thought if Hashem sees a tzaddik doing right things, so then He's going to take away from him the suffering of work, and He's going to make parnasat tova. So why would Hashem make the wicked suffer? The wicked prosper and the righteous suffer. It should be the other way around. So says the Chovot Halevavot. He says, so why would a righteous person suffer? Number one reason could be why does the tzaddik suffer? Because it could be that he previously committed a sin, which now he's paying for. As it says in Mishlei, indeed, a righteous person is punished on earth. Right? Hashem punishes the righteous in this world, and He doesn't want to punish them in the afterlife. Why? Because the punishment in this world is actually better. It's physical. It's limited. Over there in Olam Haba, it's going to be much more of a difficult punishment, and it doesn't have the limitations of physicality. It could be in a deeper and a more intense level. So therefore, Hashem did a service to the righteous guy that he suffered in this world instead of the next. And what do the wicked do? And the wicked, they prosper in this world, and their punishment is waiting for them in the Olam Haba. So therefore, if you see a tzaddik suffering, it could be he did a sin, and Hashem's doing a chesed with him, that he's punishing him in this world. Number two reason, it says, sometimes in exchange for a greater reward, Hashem will have to punish you in order to do good to you. Right? As it says in Devarim, in order to afflict you, in order to test you, to do good for you in your end. What does that mean? The footnote says, the Gemara Masechet Brachot says, sometimes Hashem sends suffering to a righteous person out of love, which Rashi explains in order to increase his reward in Olam Haba. By not questioning Hashem's actions and accepting his suffering with love and continuing to serve Hashem despite suffering, the tzaddik's reward in the next world is increased. So you see that Hashem sometimes wants to give you more reward, so He makes you suffer a little bit, and He sees how you're devoted to Him regardless, so that gives you more reward in Olam Haba. Number three reason why a tzaddik might suffer is sometimes Hashem wants to display the righteous person's endurance and positive attitude in the service of Hashem, despite his difficulties, so other people will learn from him, right? Like it says, like Hillel, right? Hillel will cause everybody to be judged why they didn't learn Torah. Well, the Gemara says why? Because Hillel was very poor, and he used to make 4 coins a day, and he used to give 2 to the guard at the Bet Midrash, at the house of study, so he should be able to get in to learn Torah, and 2 he used to give food to his family. So one day he wasn't able to pay the guard. So what did he do? He went on the skylight. He went on the skylight of the house of study, and he was listening to the Gemara discussions through the window. But eventually it started snowing, and it covered him, and he knocked out. He fainted, and he passed out on the skylight. So when they came in the morning and they wanted to daven and wanted to learn, so they saw it's very dark. Usually the skylight gives good light. They see up and they look up and they see Hillel over there. He's passed out. So they run upstairs, they run to the roof, they get him out, they wake him up, they put him by the fire. And he said, "What are you doing over there?" He said, "Oh, I couldn't learn, so I tried to go on the skylight to hear the learning at least, and I got covered too much of snow and I passed out." So you see, the Gemara says that look how Hillel was so poor and he still tried to learn Torah, he's going to be the reason. Hashem's going to say, if he could do it, why you guys can't do it? You're going to complain and say you didn't have money, you had to work, and you weren't able to learn. Look, he still learned even though he was very poor. How come you didn't? So he's going to mechayev, and he's going to obligate everybody to answer why they didn't learn Torah. So you see that Hashem sometimes does that. Hashem makes it that a tzaddik suffers in order that people should learn from him how to be devoted to Hashem and serve Hashem even through difficulty. Like you see by the matter of Eov, right? Eov also, he suffered tremendously, and he still was loyal to Hashem. So you see a guy. Why aren't you dedicated to Hashem? Oh, I'm suffering so much. You know how hard it is for me to do mitzvot. Are you any worse than Eov? Eov suffered way more than you, and he was still loyal to Hashem. He didn't have any questions. And there's some people I know. Oh, I got divorced. Oh, I lost all my money, and I was religious. Why would God do that to me? That's it. I lost my emunah. That's it. Forget all this. There's no point in doing all this. You see, if I'm religious, Hashem's supposed to give me everything, and my life's supposed to be perfect, and I should not be missing anything. I hear where you're coming from, but our sages teach us explicitly not like that. Our sages say you could be a tzaddik, and Hashem still makes you suffer, even though what? for people to learn from you. That look, even though you went through hardship, you still were loyal to Hashem. It's like the people in the Holocaust, right? They left the Holocaust. A lot of them lost their emunah. They said, where was God? How could God do such a thing? And therefore they became not religious. And then there were some people who left the Holocaust, and then what did they say? They said, if how could you survive such a thing without Hashem? How can you live your life? How can you continue to live your life without Hashem in your life? Of course you need Hashem. Look how much difficulty. I need to be even closer to Hashem. So therefore, that what? You see that these people, sometimes they suffer. It's in order to make it that, look, you can still be loyal to Hashem even though you're suffering so much. And we know that we said yesterday, Pasuk, that these Torah Hashem, these hidden things from us, they're for Hashem. Hashem knows everything. What was the reason why He's doing it? We don't know the reason why these things happen necessarily. But whatever is revealed, that's for us. But the hidden stuff, the hidden reasons, that's for Hashem. Number 4, sometimes it's due to the wickedness of the people's generation, right? Let's say the generation is wicked, and Hashem wants to test you with poverty, destitution, illness, in order to exhibit your piety and service of Hashem, even in the face of hardship, in contrast to your counterparts, in contrast to the people in the generation who, despite their tranquility and comfortable life, do not serve Hashem. And this, that you overcome this hardship in the face of wickedness, gives you more zuchut, gives you more merits. As it says, as it's in Shaya, when in truth it was our ills that He bore and our pains that He carried. Right? So what does He do? At the time when there's wicked people around, what does Hashem do? Hashem says, look, there's so many more wicked people, and it outweighs the merits of the righteous. So what does He do? Hashem says, keep the world in check, and that in order that I shouldn't destroy the world, because there's more wickedness than righteousness, I have to increase the righteousness' merits. How do I increase the righteousness' merits? I go and I afflict the tzaddik, and he still serves Hashem, and this extra merit prevents the world from destruction. For example, the Gemara says that what to say if every day there's more sins or more mitzvot being done. The Gemara says there's more sins being done in the world. So what keeps the world going? The Gemara says, this is the people say, Amen yesh merabah and Kaddish, and this is the people say, specifically which Kaddish? Specifically Kaddish after learning, the Gemara says. After there's a shiur, we say Kaddish Yisrael. If you say yesh mer, that's the yesh merabah that saves the world, and Kadosh, 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 and Uva Letzion. Uva Letzion at the end of davening, we say Kadosh, 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 that those two merits keep the world going, even though there's so much wickedness in the world. So you see that the Gemara is busy explaining with what merit is the world existing, because otherwise the wickedness will destroy it. So therefore, it says that sometimes Hashem makes the tzaddik suffer in order that there should be more merits in the world to keep the world going. Otherwise, according to the laws that Hashem set up, the justice system Hashem set up, the world should have been destroyed, Chas v'shalom, by Noah. Number 5, we'll do one more. Look at this. Sometimes Hashem makes the righteous suffer. Why? Because he was not zealous for the word of Hashem, and he did not execute judgment or protest against the people of his generation. So you're right, he was a tzaddik, but you know why he wasn't fully a tzaddik? Because he should have said something to the people around him, and he didn't, so therefore he got punished. As it says, Yadata minyan Eli ubanav, like the story of Eli the Kohen Gadol and his sons in Shmuel Aleph. Right, it says over there, it says in the pasuk over there, anyone left over from your family will come down to bow down to him for a small coin or a loaf of bread. Hashem cursed the descendants of Eli Kohen. Why? It was such poverty that they'll have to bow down to a later Kohen Gadol, begging him to let him join the ranks of the Kohanim, so they can have bread to eat. It's because Eli failed to rebuke his sons. What does his sons used to do? His sons used to run the temple, and they used to prioritize the korbanot that had nice meat attached to it. And the korbanot that were not so special, they used to delay them. They used to make them wait around. For example, the Gemara says that a lot of people's wives came to give the bird offerings after a lady gives birth. And they would delay them and say, okay, after, right now we have to take care of this. And they would let people skip the line because he has an ox, he has this, he has a lamb, there's a choicier meat. So then ended up being that a lot of ladies, they ended up staying, instead of coming one day to the temple, doing their service and going home, they had to stay overnight or 2 days sometimes in order to be able to give their offering. And the Gemara says to this that they delayed them extra nights away from their husband. The Torah considers as if the sons of Eli slept with those ladies. So therefore you see that what? Eli saw all this and he didn't say anything. So therefore Hashem made it that he suffers because he should have rebuked. So it comes out the tzaddik. Lama tzaddik veralo? We said a few reasons. Could be tzaddik veralo because he did a sin. Could be tzaddik veralo. Why? Because Hashem wants to give him better. You suffer b'olam hazeh and you don't suffer b'olam haba. Tzaddik veralo could be a righteous person suffers. Why? Because Hashem needs to give you more zchuyot. He wants to give you more zchuyot. Look, even if it's difficulty, you go and you serve Hashem, and people will learn from you. Or finally, because he's tzaddik, v'lo mochiach, but he didn't give rebuke. That's why tzaddik veralo. Also, Baruch Adonai Olam. Amen.